Friday and Merry Christmas and welcome back to Drinking by My Shelf. Today I'm not drinking any alcohol because I have a really sore throat and I'm feeling pretty ill. I don't think alcohol's the answer, but it is Christmas, so I hope that you guys at least have a mulled wine in your hands while you're watching this. Today I'm doing a video that I have been putting off. I seem to always be putting off videos. This is my balancing the books video for October and November, and in those months I added a massive total of 37 new books to my TBR, which is why I've been avoiding filming this video, but it's about to be December, I'm about to have another whole month to do, so I'm just going to catch up before I fly away for Christmas. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Oh my god, my voice sounds so gross when I'm cold. I'm going to have to cut out all of the disgusting sniffing that I'm doing. So let's start with the books that I personally bought myself. I bought Nothing is Heavy by Vicky Jarrett, and I already read this one, so I don't have to add anything to the score. I bought Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo for the Storytime with Scribbles book club, and again, I have already read this one and I loved it. One of my top books of the year. Watch out for that video coming soon. And then I went on a Taylor Jenkins read kick, because over the summer I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which was another of my favourite books of the year. I absolutely loved it. And I remembered that I had read a book by Taylor Jenkins Reid before, which was called Maybe in Another Life, and I'd really enjoyed it back then. So I went and bought this one for myself, because I'd only had it on Kindle before, so that doesn't add anything because I already read it a few years ago. But I am going to have to add 3 points for the 3 other books that I bought of hers. I'm planning on having a Taylor Jenkins Reid binge, and I feel like I'm going to love every single one of these. I've already showed you guys that at the Booktuber meetup where we all went book shopping together, I bought My Cousin Rachel and Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and I started My Cousin Rachel. I was really enjoying it and I stopped just because I got distracted. I watched the film, then I had a pause, but I am going to go back to this one. So far these are both going to have to count against me because I don't think it counts as having read it. I only read that much so far. Another one that I bought on that same shopping trip was A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman, who's the author of Beartown, which was yet another of my favourite books of the year. I'm giving you guys so many spoilers for my top books of the year video. There's no point in me even making that video now, but I haven't read this one yet, but I'm excited for it. My neighbours just got home. Just waiting for them to go inside so they don't look at me through the window. And then I went on a little nostalgia trip and I bought myself these 2 Winnie the Pooh collections. These ones I have already read in my childhood, so they're not going to count against me. But I am looking forward to just snuggling up by the fire. I don't have a fire, but I'll go and find someone with a fire and rereading some of these because they remind me of being young. Oh, and on that trip I also bought Night Film, which I haven't read yet. This one I got recommended by Angelica, who I've been hanging out a lot with recently, and we're going to start up a book club, so stay tuned for news about that. We're going to be reading creepy books, and I really trust her taste in creepy books, so I'm looking forward to this. For my work book club, I bought Mirror Shoulder Signal, and I have read this one, so that's finally one that doesn't count against me. And the last book that I bought myself was Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, who, you guessed it, wrote another of my favourite books of this year. I absolutely love Little Flowers Everywhere, so I went and got myself this one to read next year. Okay, now a couple of books that I was given. Jen Campbell gave me The Muse at the Booktuber meetup, and I haven't read this one yet. And my mum gave me The Lie of the Land by Amanda Craig, because I went to the Isle of Wight Literary Festival with her, and we heard Amanda Craig speak about Jane Austen, and it was really great, really interesting, and she signed my book for me. There's nothing there. I'm sure she signed it. There you go, she did sign my book for me, and I haven't read this one yet. And now, finally, all the books that I got from publishers in October and November. I got Little Flowers Everywhere by Celeste Ng, which I have read and absolutely adored. I Was Sent As Bright as Heaven. This was just one that arrived unsolicited, so I don't really know anything about it. It's historical fiction, which isn't usually my thing. I was about to say this will probably be one of the ones that I give away, but I just remembered that I am supposed to be reading historical fiction for the Holiday Adventure-a-thon in December, so maybe I'll hang on to this for that. We'll see. I'll decide at the end. I got Secrets for the Mad by Dodie Clark, who is an absolutely wonderful YouTuber. I really, really love her videos, and I did read part of her book. I did actually DNF it, but that's nothing against her. I think that she's wonderful. I just think that I'm not actually the target audience for her book, and I've just got so many other things to read at the moment that I just flicked through a few chapters, and I hope that people find it really, really helpful who it's aimed at. For me, I just found it a little upsetting, to be honest, but I'm sure that's just because it's not really aimed at me. I don't want to comment on its usefulness for people with mental health issues because I just don't think I'm an expert to comment on that. Hope that's all alright. I also got a Wonder Woman comic from NetGalley, which again I started to read and DNF'd. Just wasn't really getting into it. I got The Last Mrs. Parrish, which I have already talked about in a video that I thought was one of the worst things I've ever read. I'm so sorry. But at least I read it, so I don't have that point against me. I got a book called Anatomy of a Scandal, which I DNF'd not for any reason against it, because I really did only just start to read it. I can't really comment on whether or not it was good, but I think it's fantastic how many books are addressing issues that women face. Violence against women, rape victims not being believed. All of these are very, very important issues, and there's been some fantastic books about them. But I think that for me personally, I've now read so many of those books, it was making me feel helpless almost, whereas the first few I read, it made me feel understood and empowered that there were people out there fighting for the same change. So I think that's what they're fantastic for, and I really recommend a lot of them, but I couldn't quite face reading Anatomy of a Scandal just after all the other books I've been reading. Okay, on with the show. I was sent The Wife Between Us, which was almost exactly the same story as The Last Mrs. Parrish, which I hated, and I hated this one as well, which is a real shame because a lot of people loved it, but I thought it was really bad. But I did read it, so you can strike that point off. I was sent The Elizas, which I haven't read yet. This one is by Sarah Shepherd, who wrote the Pretty Little Liars series. Literally every time I film a Balancing the Books video, something goes wrong with my equipment. My microphone died again, and I never bloody noticed. So it's just shitty audio from now on. Sauce! I was sent Dear Mrs. Bird, which I know I said I don't usually like reading historical fiction, but this one looked great. It's about an agony aunt writing in the 1940s, and it was described as a love letter to female friendship, which are just some of my favourite words in the English language, really. I was sent Bonfire by Kristen Ritter. Kristen Ritter is the actress in Don't Trust the Bitch in Apartment 23, which I always thought was such a great show, and I don't know why they cancelled it. And I'm usually a bit wary about celebrities crossing over into writing, but I actually thought The Bonfire was a really good thriller, and I can really see it being a fantastic TV show with Kristen Ritter in the lead. And I'm also always wary of ghostwriting, but from watching interviews with her, it does seem like she actually wrote this one. I hope I'm not just being naive. But assuming that she did, then she's actually a very good writer, so that was enjoyable. I was sent this, The Worm and the Bird. I have no idea what this is or where it came from. Sometimes I just send things that I have no idea what they are. It's a graphic novel. Maybe I will just literally just read it this afternoon and then tell you guys what it was. I was sent Uncommon Type, which is Tom Hanks' collection of short stories, and I absolutely love Tom Hanks. Again, was wary about that actor crossing over into writing thing, but I was pleasantly surprised. I did think he was a really good writer. I did DNF the stories halfway through just because, while he's a very good writer, and I love the idea that he wrote them all with his typewriter, I think that's so cute, they weren't particularly groundbreaking. There was nothing hugely powerful and compelling about these stories. They were just very pleasant, nice stories. So I read a few of them, and that was enough for me. I was sent The Sacrifice Box, which I have already read, and I thought it was okay. It's a kind of comedy, horror, YA, and I think it was just a bit too silly for me. I was sent Surprise Me by Sophie Kinsella, and she's the author who wrote the Confessions of a Shopaholic series, which I absolutely adored, and I used to listen to them all on audiobooks when I was going to sleep. I got 29 Seconds, which I started to read, and it was honestly god-awful, so I DNF'd that. It sounded kind of exciting. It's about a woman who saves somebody's life and ends up being owed a favour by this very mysterious, powerful man. And this man says that if she gives him a name, any name, he can make that person disappear from her life. It sounded compelling, but I got quite far through it, and it was just too ridiculous. I couldn't go on, so I DNF'd that. I've got Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Now, she is a fantastic writer who I've looked up to for a long time because she won a prize in the Cassandra Jardine Telegraph essay competition the year before I won a prize in it. So I had read hers before, and ever since then I've always kind of looked up to her as somebody who sort of started on a similar journey from me. But she's gone on and been fantastic, and this is her essay collection. I got The Silent Companions, which I have read. That was a spooky kind of gothic Victorian ghost story, and it was great fun. I really enjoyed reading it. I didn't think it was fantastic, but I recommend it for like a dark winter's night. I got The Feed, which I've already DNF'd. It sounded great, it sounded kind of like The Circle, but it was so like post-apocalyptic. I like reading books where it sets up this like creepy technological world that I think we're on the way to, and this one was just too far ahead, like too extreme, that it just didn't seem as engaging and scary to me. I got The Half-Sister, which I requested from NetGalley purely because I love books about sister relationships, and this is about two half-sisters grown up, they've been estranged for a long time, and after their mother dies, they come back together and all of these secrets come out. I got The Liar's Girl, which is about a woman who finds out that her boyfriend is this horrific serial killer that she's been hearing about. He confesses everything to her, and then 10 years later where she's at with her life after that. I got The Water Cure, which sounds like this kind of strange feminist book about sisterhood and these three women who are kept separate from the world. And then finally I got Three Things About Elsie, which I've heard fantastic things about from Simon Savage, and it's about this 84-year-old woman who has this best friend called Elsie and these secrets are about to come out from her past. And I have to say I mainly picked it because the main characters in it are called Florence and Elsie, which is what me and my sister are planning to name our children, and they're going to be cousins and best friends. So that was my main reason. My second reason was because it looked really good and I heard really good things. Good booktuber over here. Okay, well that was fucking exhausting and my sore throat is now even more sore from all of that talking. So what we've got here, if I've been doing my maths right as we go, I should have a score of 19 at the moment. Books that I got but haven't yet read or DNF'd. Hope that's right.
It is not right, but for some inexplicable reason, the maths is going to work out later.
But I did read a further 14 books in October and November that aren't the ones I've already mentioned. So that cuts it down to 5, which means that in order to get to my goal of cutting my TBR down 1 every month, meaning that I need to have a final score of -2 for October and November, I need to get rid of 7 books. That's quite a lot. But I'm going to start with these two, The Worm and the Bird and As Bright as Heaven. These were ones that I was sent over the last few months that I didn't ask for, so I never feel too bad about giving them to charity. Someone will enjoy them there. From my ebooks, I've had this ebook Stalker for a while and it looked really good and scary, but I only just found out that it's actually one of a series and it's like taken from the middle of this series that already has existed. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of an ebook called First Person, which it's already come out and missed the publication date and I'm just not super excited about reading it. I think, much as I love Sophie Kinsella, I am going to get rid of Surprise Me, just because I loved those Shopaholic books, but there's nothing especially exciting and new that I find in her books. No offense, so sorry. Now let me go and look at my bookshelf for what else. Okay, I can do this. This wasn't so bad. I'm going to get rid of Ghostland, which I've been holding on to for a long time and suddenly realised when I picked it up to read it the other night that I actually don't really feel like reading it because I don't really care. Brutal, but true. Then, for the same reasons that I discussed earlier, I'm going to get rid of It Happens All the Time. This is one that I got at the beginning of the year, was sent unsolicited, but thought that it looked interesting. But, as I said earlier, I do think that I personally just need a bit of a break from all of these stories about violence against women and women not being believed. But I really want other people to be reading these because they can be very eye-opening stories. So I'm hoping that if I give this a charity, someone will pick it up and it will open their eyes to this. And then finally, I'm wondering if my charity shop will accept this. I was sent this by Emily Winslow, who wrote a book called Jane Doe January, which I thought was fantastic. And I was sent this, and just sadly, I apologised to her. I didn't get around to reading it, and it has now come out properly. So I think I'm going to wait and then get hold of it in a proper physical copy because this is just not ideal, like not super easy for me to read. But I wonder if I give it to charity, if they'll sell it there, because somebody could read it and that might be quite exciting for somebody to read an early draft like that. But I might get in touch with them first and check that I'm allowed to do that, because if it's such an early draft, I don't want to like put it out into the world without permission. But that's it, I did it! Assuming that all the maths I've been doing in my head, which has given me a headache, has been correct, I now have 2 fewer books on my TBR than I had at the beginning of October, which frees me up nicely for all the new books I will probably be buying in December. So Merry Christmas everyone! The next time I see you it will be after Christmas. I will have a new swanky camera that I'm getting for Christmas because you might have noticed that my beloved old camera broke and the ones I've been doing recently have been a little bit fuzzy, not the best quality, so I'm really excited to have my brand new camera for Christmas. And that's all from me really. And I will also be filming lots of footage of my extraordinary Christmas that I'll be having in Las Vegas. It's going to be very, very different from any Christmas I've had before. So look forward to seeing that, everybody. That's all from me. See you next time.